you watched my last video, you'll know that I couldn't get the tool rest deep enough into this bowl, and the reason for that is I couldn't get this bit far enough away from the bowl to enable me to turn it inside. So we are going to modify this. I got the manual out last night and it said that it's a bolt-on part. There should be some bolts under here. 3 bolts that hold it on, lovely under there. So we're going to whip that off and modify it in some way that I've not yet decided.
I think that needs a bit of a clean anyway. What do you think? Definitely.
And there it is. That's not been off in a long time. Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. It's almost summertime, or it feels like it here in England. Can't go out or do anything obviously, but enjoying the weather while it's not raining, so that's good. So today we've got all sorts going on. We're going to modify that tool rest, and then we're going to turn a lovely big bit of ash. So I've cut a couple of bits of 100mm or 4-inch box section steel. I'm drilling 12mm holes, 3 of each, and they are to bolt on like so. Next job is to weld 2 of them together. I didn't want to just use one because then I'd still be using that tool post wrong. It shouldn't be overhanging the back like I normally use it. It should be on the flat, that milled section. So some more amazing welding going on. Weld the 2 of them together. And with a bit of luck, it fit where I wanted it to go, which was surprising given my level of expertise in this sort of thing. Fun fact, it actually took me longer to bolt the bloody thing on the lathe than it did to make it. It was one of the most frustrating things I've done in a long time. But it all went okay in the end. A little bit of persuasion with the wooden hammer, and it's actually pretty square, pretty true on the lathe, and it's given me an extra 6 inches at least to play with, as you can see there. So I'm just playing with the angles I could get to, seeing if I could get down to a reasonable level. And now, on the wobbly machine, we have an enormous piece of ash. It's about 18 inches across and 6 inches deep, and it was heavy. I kept cutting bits off it to try and get it into balance. Again, incredibly frustrating. The thing was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But eventually it found some kind of balance, and off we went turning. You can see that that tool rest now fits where it's supposed to, which is a good start. So we're just roughing in a rough bowl type shape with the 1/2-inch bowl gouge. Now there's a chap in the comments who keeps taking the mickey out of my bendy gouge, and he will be pleased to know that I ordered another one yesterday. So I'm gonna have a go at making a gouge that doesn't bend in the middle. I've been sharpening this with a 150 grit belt for so long that there's not much left of it, so I thought before it gets too tiny to actually use, I'll order another one, and so there'll be a video coming up shortly of me making a new gouge, which some of you might find interesting. You might be tempted to do yourself. I find a lot of the handles that come on these gouges way too small, but Robert Sorby offer these gouges with no handles attached, so you can make your own ones. Not that they're much cheaper, they probably save you about a £5. But if you're going to put your own handle on, you may as well order it without a handle, right? So we're spinning at 800 RPM here. I've actually found that I'm getting quite a lot of harmonic build-up in that tool rest, bit of vibration, which is making my cuts not as smooth as I would like. It's setting up a resonance. Now I was feeling brave here and I decided to turn it up to 1400 RPM to try and do a finishing cut. But because of that resonance, it made no difference at all. Still a bit scrappy. So I turned it back down again. So we're just cutting in for our mortise. There, you can hear that resonance there. Now I couldn't decide if that resonance was coming from the long bar or coming from those 100mm sections I put in the actual tool rest extension. So I'm going to fix both of those problems in upcoming videos, and I'll make sure that you can follow me along doing that as well. Now if this piece of wood was absolutely perfectly round, I would have gone with a bowl, a full bowl shape. But as it had some interesting cutaways, I decided to put some flutes in it, if you want to call them flutes. Just for a bit of fun. This is actually the sister piece of an ash bowl that I turned a few weeks ago. This is much bigger than the other one. So that's the mortise gone in. And then I sanded it all the way up to 800 grit, starting at 40 grit to get rid of those horrible resonance marks. No sanding paste on this one, didn't need it. So I just finished it off with some shine juice. Now here's the part of the show where we showcase some of your work. And today we feature the work of John Frary, possibly, or Frary, from Yorkshire. And he's turned this lovely live edge bowl. And I think it's probably made of oak. You'll have to tell me in the comments if I've got that right or wrong. Looking at that bark, it looks to me like a bit of oak. So, nice one, John. Thanks for sending it in. If you want to be featured on the channel, you can send your images to willmakeseverything@gmail.com. And we're on to the hollowing. That's 800 RPM there, normal speed. you can hear it when it starts to build that resonance. And I was in the middle of the tool rest there, which leads me to believe it's the extension I've made that's giving me the problems. I think it's basically because I've made it out of box section and I haven't welded the sides of the boxes, which gives them a small amount of flex. But other than that, it's working really well and it turned really nicely. Now, just the same as the other piece of ash I turned a few weeks ago, which was from the other half of this log, there was a massive bark inclusion that you couldn't see from the outside, and lo and behold, we found it in the centre of this one as well. Luckily I left the piece so big that there was a decent amount of wood all the way around it, but it was quite a big bark inclusion. You'll see it soon when the lathe stops. So the deeper I got into this bowl, the more difficult it got to actually get a smooth cut, and I was getting all sorts of issues. And again, I'm putting that down to the resonance in the tool rest, which meant that I couldn't turn it as deep as I would like. So we actually ended up with about 2 inches of thickness on the bottom of the bowl. Just using the carbide there to get a smoother edge on the outside rim of the bowl. And then with the 5-inch sanding pad, starting at 40 grit and all the way up to 800 grit again. It's a lovely bark inclusion all the way across the piece there. No sanding paste. I think most of it would have ended up in that bark inclusion anyway. So just shine juice And then I painted a load of shine juice into the bark inclusion as well. And that's your lot on that one. Quite a striking piece, lovely grain in it. So I will leave you as ever with the glamour shots. Thanks very much for watching the video and following along. Thanks to all my new subscribers. And if you hold on past the glamour shots, there's a bit of a workshop tour coming up and an introduction to what I will be doing in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that. Hope everybody's staying safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little workshop tour, dirty as it is, because this is the last time that you're going to see it looking like this. I've managed to fill every surface with crap. Never mind. Here's my wood. Various different species. That's where I keep all my little bits. Have we got anything fun in here to show you? Oh, there it is. Hiding away is a bit of Brazilian tulip wood that I'm keeping for special occasions. Bits of bog oak and all sorts. That's shelf number 3 with a load of walnut and all sorts of sycamore and bits and bobs. A few bits in there. Right, the reason for this bit is this is starting to do my head in now. It's loose and I don't like it, and it means I'm getting a vibration through all of this. So obviously I didn't make this quite strong enough, so I'm going to weld a plate on here. I'm also going to try and put a plate that goes all the way from here all the way to here and make this absolutely solid. But there's no point doing that while the whole lathe bounces around. So under these weights are the bolts, which are currently, well look, I can almost pull that out with my fingers. They're not doing anything at all. So, big job. I'm going to take the lathe out, take it down the workshop, do some welding on it. But before I do that, I've got a choice. I can either dig out the concrete here to make a new base for the lathe, with studs coming out of the floor rather than bolts trying to go in and expand. I need a new concrete pad, 6 inches thick, because I want this to be absolutely solid. And I've been meaning to do this for ages, but I think today might be the day. But my choice is, do I want the lathe to carry on being here, or do I get rid of this desk, which currently just holds a load of crap and gets full of sawdust, move this, which is exactly the same, just holds a load of crap, and put the lathe there, or do I do it here? Decisions, decisions, decisions. If I put the lathe here, its tailstock will be right up hard against this desk in order to give me room to get between this monstrosity and the back end of the lathe, because in fact I think it's bigger than that desk now. I think that that lathe is bigger than that disc. Well, the next time you see me, I will be digging holes in the floor, and then you'll get my answer. So, see you later.